140 people have been released from death row in the United States. And I have an example of that. His name is Robert Campbell, and he was convicted of murder, but the court system that he was being tried on didn't provide information to the jury about his IQ, which is really important because somebody that has a mental disability cannot be put on trial and charged with capital punishment or being executed for their crimes. He was scheduled to be executed on May 13th, and actually that day he was granted permission for an appeal to his execution, and that's when they found his IQ scores, which made it illegal for them to execute him. The judge actually found out that the prosecutors withheld the information instead of them just not giving him an IQ test. They actually just didn't give them the information. So now he is sentenced to life in prison rather than being killed, which is, yeah, okay. Anyways, I think there are significant problems with all 5 methods currently being used for execution in the United States, which violate the 8th Amendment, which means, which is like against cruel and unusual punishment. So, why? According to the FBI website, 14 states with the death penalty have the same crime rates as states without it, which means that the death penalty isn't stopping people from committing these crimes that we think that they need to be killed for. Another example of an innocent person put on death row is Troy Anthony Davis. He was actually executed on September 21st of 2011, and he convinced people that he was innocent up until his death. And something that he said right before he died was reported by the Huffington Post. It says, he said, "The incident that happened that night was not my fault. I did not have a gun that night. I did not shoot your family member, and I'm sorry for your loss." He also went on to say more, but it's a really long quote. He was charged with the murder of a police officer and was actually executed. Later on, his attorneys kept going to court for appeals, and they found out that he was in fact innocent of the crime. So they killed an innocent man. This is more about why. So the cost to put somebody on trial to convict somebody enough to have them be on death row actually costs more than carrying out a sentence for somebody that doesn't need to be put on death row. So even before they're killed, it costs more than putting somebody in jail for their life. So we're just taking away more money for us to be using at other places. And then on Amnesty USA, which is an organization that is trying to eradicate the death penalty, they had a statistic that most of the people that are put on death row don't have enough money to pay for their own attorney, so they have to be given one by the government, so it's not always fair for them. What you can do. So I know that a lot of things you can't really do something right now because it's more of signing petitions and emailing and calling the government officials, but for this it actually will work because as of right now there aren't very many people that support getting rid of the death penalty because they think that it is a good thing for them to keep. But if we sign a petition with enough people and send it into the government, or into either the Indiana government or into Capitol Hill, we will get notice whether it does anything right now or not. There will be more coverage on it. So I actually talked to my dad about this. My dad's a police officer in Greenfield, and I talked to him about it last night, and his solution, which he was still for capital punishment, but his solution, rather than getting rid of it, would be that if somebody did have to die, they would do it by firing squad, which is when they have 5 people lined up, and there's only one person with a real round, so nobody knows who actually killed the person, but the family of the person that was killed would be the one to shoot the person who did it. So not only would it give the family some closure, it would also have the same results as what would happen if the government did it. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it, but that was his take on it. Just giving more examples. So some people say that killing somebody is better than putting somebody in jail. But in my opinion, if you put somebody in jail for the rest of their life, that is much worse than giving them the easy way out and killing them right on the spot. A lot of people that are put in jail for the rest of their life end up trying to commit suicide because it's such a it's miserable in there. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's cruel and unusual punishment any more than being executed, because being in jail is already used. Like whether you're in jail for life or you're in jail for a night, you're still in there. So it's not as bad. Another point for jail, some of the times when people are executed, they experience excruciating pain, and it's not humane for them to be executed the way that we think it is. So it's better for them to be in jail, not only because they're serving their sentence, but because they aren't being hurt in the process. The prisoners are taken care of, as you probably know, because there's jails all over the place, but prisoners are taken care of just about the same way that we're taken care of in school. They're given 3 meals a day. They're allowed to go to the bathroom, do whatever they want to, as long as they're following the rules. So in conclusion, I think that the capital punishment should be eradicated from the United States because it doesn't do anything to help keep our country safe, and it only costs us more money. Unlike the lucky 14 who are taken off death row, somebody that you know could be executed for a crime they did not commit. That's why I think it should be taken off.
All right, questions for McKenna?
So, usually the trials that take for death row and capital punishment like that, they usually last 20 to 25 years.
Right.
They're going to be in jail for that period of time anyways. So, you said it would be better, but either way, they're going to be dying somehow in jail, or they can be dying right there and then. They say that it also costs them so much more money to do death row there than it does for them to stay in jail. But what is the main cause of, it's hard to put this, but if death row is better, how is it that the same result is coming out of it? It's just money is the primary, the real problem.
Well, it's not necessarily just the money. Like when you think about it from the human rights aspect, if you look at the different ways that people can be killed, like we're still using gas chambers to execute people. That's not. I don't think that should be used anymore. Just not necessarily just that one, but the ways that people are being killed, it's not humane. It's better for somebody to just die of old age or something in a prison cell than them to be killed like that. And that's my opinion, at least.
So you said there's 5 ways that they kill people. What are the 5 ways?
They do hanging, electrocution, like the electric chair, gas chambers, firing squads, and lethal injection.
How often are those really used, though? Because as far as I know, when I did a presentation of this, there's only 1 gas chamber in the whole United States, and it hasn't been used since the 1960s.
I think that there are 3 states that allow gas chambers. I don't think that they've used it in a while, but I think they've used it more recently than the 1960s. I'm not for sure. I didn't really go into much research on the different types and how much they've been used. Aaron.
So did you I think I might have missed this, but so did you say that the crime rates were any different in states that did or did not allow capital punishment?
I did talk about that. It's just they're the same. It doesn't do anything to prevent people from committing the crimes that they're doing.
Okay. All right, that's your 2 minutes. Thanks.